young scientists put their experiments to the test at Hocker Grove Middle School. Shawnee Mission East IB students disco down and check out the decade that was the 70s. Fashion design and construction students take their projects on the road for a good cause. And we shadow the man helping the district see green in more ways than one. All on this episode of Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. Welcome to Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. I'm your host, Leanne Neal. Is studying with music good or bad? What does gray water do to plants? Is backspin key to free throw shooting? Inquiring minds searched for answers to these and more than 100 other questions at Hocker Grove Middle School's annual science fair. Traveling from the science classroom to the cafeteria, students used the afternoon to set up their project boards and put some final tweaks on their presentations.
Students have been working on science fair projects since the first day that we had a full day of school this year. And they're going through the scientific method, researching, completing an experiment, and this is really showing a presentation of their work.
The wide range of projects from biology to chemistry to behavioral and social sciences reflected the varied interests of the school's 120 7th and 8th grade science students.
You can probably tell by all the pictures, it's about windmills, wind turbines. I tested which blades of the wind turbines can be made of different material, and I tested which one created the most voltage and produced the most electricity.
Sam made blades out of wood, sheet metal, and cardboard. His conclusion? Wood was the best. But it was actually something he learned in preparation for his experiment that surprised him the most.
The potential for energy created by wind turbines is really large, 16 times the energy that we need for the United States right now, which was...
That's significant.
Yeah, that shocked me.
Now, if you did this project next year, how can you take it to the next step?
For many students, the first big hurdle is generating a solid idea for an experiment. When Riley Roberts' first plan fell through, a last-minute brainstorming session with her family saved the day.
And they were like, so what do you like to do? And I couldn't really do anything with my sports, so I decided to do something with my phone and with texting, which all kids love. So I decided to measure thumb strength and if texting could affect it and make it stronger or if it made it weaker.
The results of her texting experiment?
I found out that it does make your thumb stronger. You can't predict exactly what it will relate to without an ongoing study, but it does mean that if you text more than an hour a day, you will have stronger thumbs.
For the 8th graders who are on Science Fair Year 2, having that first fair under their belts often makes a difference.
I didn't want to do anything with plants this year because that took such a long time, and the plants, they wouldn't grow, and then, that was just a mess.
This time around, Mallory picked a surefire experiment, testing the burn rate of different candle waxes. But even this project came with a surprise.
I thought the soy ones would last the longest just because from the websites and research I'd done, it seemed like they would distribute the heat throughout the wick and stuff more evenly. But I was wrong. Well, I wasn't wrong, but it was the palm ones.
During the fair, students, parents, and guests had an opportunity to view the projects and then fill out a worksheet rating the ones they thought were the best.
I like the designs and stuff. Some of these kids really put some thought into these.
For the top projects, the Hocker Grove Science Fair is just the beginning.
Some of them move on to the R&D forum, and the top 20 boards total in projects go to Greater Kansas City.
Here's a look at the Hocker Grove students whose projects will be moving on. Congratulations to everyone who participated. Do you remember the 70s? Later in the show, we'll see how one high school is bringing history to life for its students. But first, find out how student designs help draw attention to women's heart health after the break.
Hello, my name is Catherine Brown.
And I'm Molly Mansky.
And we're from Westwood View Elementary. We read the book Bravo, Zulu, Samantha. by Kathleen Benner Dibley. This book was all about a 7th grade girl named Samantha and how her parents went away on a trip to go help Samantha's aunt move to Kansas. While her parents were away, Samantha stayed with her grandparents for 4 weeks. Samantha was not happy about leaving her friends, but was happy about leaving her annoying friend Billy. Since Samantha's grandma had to work every day except the weekends, Samantha would end up staying with her grandpa, which wasn't very exciting. Samantha wondered why her grandpa was acting so suspicious when he wouldn't let anyone in his office and why he didn't want to spend any time with her. Later in the day, Samantha saw her grandpa walk out of the house with a strange bundle in his hand. A couple days later, Samantha and her friend Billy walked outside at midnight to go see what her grandpa was up to. Read Bravo Zulu Samantha to find out what Billy and Samantha find when they get the biggest shock of their life. We rate this book 5 out of 5 stars because it always kept us reading and there is a lot of exciting adventure. Read it.
Welcome back. Fashion design and construction students at Broadmoor Technical Center were seeing red for a good reason. For the 2nd year in a row, their designs were featured as part of the Go Red for Women Heart Health campaign.
We've teamed up with the American Heart Association to use their fashion designs to raise community awareness for the #1 health threat for women in our country. Surprisingly, it's heart disease.
Students begin the project by coming up with an original design. Next, they create a pattern and construct a dress in half scale. The entire process involves several weeks of hard work.
It's red silk, has a little Asian pattern, and I think it's pretty cute.
Where did Libby get her inspiration?
A couple of times of just drawing different things and looking through magazines. Oh, I like this part of this dress and that bottom, maybe that bag. So I just kind of put different pieces together and saw which one would be the best.
Oh, they're adorable. Aren't they adorable?
When the dresses are finished, it's time for them to go on display.
Today we're going to take the red dresses to the Park Place shopping area. We're going to distribute them to the merchants that will put them in their windows as part of their help to raise awareness for the campaign.
Oh, I love them. Every year I'm just like, oh my gosh, can't you make that in my size? Every year there's like at least half of them that I am like, oh, I would so wear that.
They're fabulous. I love them, and I'm excited to have them in my store.
Beautiful. I think they look great. If you see the designer next to them, it's kind of like, oh, you know, that is your style, or this looks good. Yeah, it's nice to see different styles of the same kind of small dress.
The dresses were displayed in the Park Place storefronts for the month of February to coincide with the Heart Association's Go Red for Women campaign. Some Shawnee Mission East students did a little time travel recently. Their destination? The 70s. In a decade long, long ago, Star Wars had just hit the big screen. Disco ruled the dance floor, and Watergate cake was taking the nation by storm. On this day, these children of the 90s got a taste of what it was like to live in the 70s.
Decades Day is basically where a group of kids in our IB Theory of Knowledge class go up and talk about anything from history, art, music, theater, and just to teach the other kids, because they're going to be doing later dates, different decades. We've already done the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and later we'll do the 80s and 90s.
But for today, it was a trip back to the 70s, which wouldn't have been complete without an opportunity to experience the disco craze.
The disco is really fun, and there's a lot of huge music breakouts in this age, and the art was very interesting. So it was like most of the 70s was a cultural revolution, I think.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman, and whoosh, that nice little sound effect.
Instructor Nick Paris says having these Decades Days presentations helps take learning to another level.
You read things and you give the facts, that's one aspect of it, but to develop a feel for an era is a very good skill to develop, an intuitive thing, such that it's not just factual knowledge, it's just not the traditional, but it's greater than that. And also, really, theory of knowledge is about opening up doors and opening up possibilities.
So after his immersion in the 70s, what intrigued Jordan the most?
Telephone booth stuffing was just something that caught my eye because you don't, I mean, you see dares today kind of on TV. I mean, there's a couple guys that do some stunts like that, but these were just everyday like college students trying to make a name for themselves and set a record.
Interestingly enough, there was one tradition from the 70s that needed no explanation. In the country of Chile, a group of educators teach English as a second language. Up next, find out what brought them across the equator to Shawnee Mission and what lessons they learned in our district that they'll be taking back. In Shawnee Mission, we pride ourselves on innovative educators, first-class curriculum, and outstanding students. Recently, our district attracted the attention of some teachers from Chile who traveled across the globe to learn from us, as well as do a little teaching of their own.
Everybody repeat together. Buenas.
Buenas
Noches.
noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Good.
At Marsh Elementary, the Chilean teachers had an opportunity to work directly with students.
Here I've been, having this like small group lessons, and I teach Spanish the way I teach English in my country. I mean, we focus on situations mainly, which we call in English the functional approach. So we're 4 teachers from 2 different schools in Chile. And we were here mainly to observe classes, to know and to get some ideas, to adapt them and to, start and put them into practice in our country.
Marcelo Celis, who normally teaches high school, jumped in to help these elementary students understand demonstrative adjectives.
Mostly we came here to get familiar with the system, with the American system, and we have been learning a lot. I think the teachers here do a great job. Here the students respect their teachers a lot. The relation, between teacher and students is great here.
At Rose Hill Elementary, the Chilean educators were particularly interested in observing and interacting with students in the district's English Language Learners program.
It's been very interesting, very fascinating experience for me. It's the first time I have left Chile, so everybody's being very kind with me, and I'm trying to open my eyes and record everything I can.
My school sent me to this country because we want to know something about the different methodology that we use in your classroom here in Kansas.
We're English teachers, so we are very interested in observing how the language is acquired here from the very early stages.
Where is this country?
So how do Shawnee Mission students stack up to their counterparts in Chile?
But I would say that the main differences between Chilean and American boys or girls is that, their behavior is much better here, I would say. Yeah, they are very quiet and they are very good listeners, so we are very impressed.
I love the school. Everything is clean, everything is well organized. I like the students' behavior, the discipline.
While the 4 educators focused on elementary schools, Chilean administrator Isabel Quiros had a chance to tour a Shawnee Mission high school. Foreign language teacher Karen Tritt served as tour guide, starting at Shawnee Mission West Times Square.
To get anywhere in the building, you have to pass through here. So 2,000 kids passing through this little area makes this very congested during passing period. So they call it Times Square.
From gymnasiums filled with active students to an auditorium stage packed with musicians, Tritt tried to give Quiros a feel for the American high school. Next stop, Mr. Satterfield's class.
This is automotive technology, and we take young people who
that don't have any automotive experience and give them some exposure to all aspects of automobiles and the business.
I would have been glad to have some kind of a training in cars, you know, when I was a kid.
Kiros also had an opportunity to check out Shawnee Mission West's Biotechnology Signature Program, where students get real-world science experience in a high school setting.
More than what I thought, more than what I expected. And the students are great. They're so, they welcome you in each of the classrooms. And the teachers as well are very nice people. So I'm impressed.
What part of her experience does Kiros hope to take back to Chile?
So I'm bringing back that positive attitude of the teacher towards the students, and as well the relationship, how you get along. I mean, students, teachers, students. I think that's great.
It's no secret that conserving a little energy here and there can add up to big savings. When we return, we'll meet the team working to make Shawnee Mission green.
Hi, my name is Morgan Roberts. I am in the 5th grade at Overland Park Elementary. The book I'm reviewing is from Emporia, the story of William Allen White by Beverly Buller. Mrs. Buller is a Kansas librarian. The book is a biography of the man who we honor in the Kansas Children's Book Award, the William Allen White Award. The book is sort of long, but it has lots of pictures. It tells about his life from when he was born to the time he passed away. It also tells about his family, his childhood, and his job, the main one being a newspaper editor. One interesting family story was about his daughter, Mary. She was outgoing, smart, and loved horseback riding. When she was 16, she had an accident. Mr. White wrote an editorial about Mary that was published all over the world. They even made a movie based on this story. It also tells about his accomplishments. For example, he was personal friends with President Teddy Roosevelt. It was interesting to learn about the man behind the William Allen White Award. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars.
Welcome back. For a school district the size of Shawnee Mission, it makes sense to look for ways to save money on energy bills while working to make the best use of our natural resources. Today on The Shadow, a visit with Shawnee Mission's energy analyst, Bruce Palmer.
The way I look at it is 3 basic things I want to look at is utility use, and then the way our buildings are operated, and then lastly is the actual design and construction of our school buildings for energy efficiency.
Phase 1 for Palmer has been utility use analysis.
That's what I've been focusing on so far, is looking at the utility bills for the past 3 years, and I've already been able to find some savings, identify that, and get some refunds back to the school districts.
So you kind of globally are analyzing and looking at building by building their utility data, but then also it sounds to me like you're kind of a liaison or even an educator in your own right, working with the principals, their staff, and then their community. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I want to be able to share things that are going on even in other school districts, but certainly within Shawnee Mission elementary schools, we've got schools that are doing food recycling. So if we roll that out, just for instance, it really dramatically reduces the amount of trash that goes in the dumpster. Mm-hmm. And so that means we need to pull the dumpster fewer times, and we pay every time. So if we pull it fewer times, then we're going to save money on the trash contract.
Plus a great science lesson for kids every day.
Exactly, yeah.
Up next, Palmer shows me the online energy tracker that gives schools a visual way to view their energy usage.
We're going to pick Indian Woods, and then you click on View Report. So what you see is sort of this chart of gas, electricity, and then down here is water use. And so let's just do electricity, since it's the biggest cost usually. This is the school year for 2007, 2008, 2008, 2009, and then the current year. Okay. And down at the bottom you can see the total usage in kilowatts per hour was 2,139,600. And then in last year it was $1,938,000, so it went down. There were energy saving measures that were implemented, mostly in lighting, and we changed almost all the lighting in the school.
All right.
All right, let me lead the way back here.
One of the biggest utility users for a school is the heating and cooling systems. Steve Bassett oversees these systems for the district's 55 buildings, and amazingly, he can now control most of it from his office through the internet.
We could stop the equipment, we monitor the building temperatures. We use the systems. It helps us in troubleshooting. When we get a call that they have a problem, I can look at the room, see if it may be that it's at set point and there isn't a problem. That saves us having to send someone out there to repair it, or it may be something that I can fix from here, which that happens a lot.
Do you have a target temperature or target set point for all the buildings, or a range that you try to stay in?
We try to stay between 70 and 75. So in between that, they're in kind of a dead band. We bring in outside air, and we're just, doing an air exchange, but we're not really adding mechanical heat or mechanical cooling. So we're saving energy by doing what's called free cooling, or free heating if it's warm outside.
Significant energy can also be saved by installing new, more efficient equipment when replacement is necessary.
We are constantly updating that, and we're looking at equipment that we have more problems with, and we replace those with new, with a newer, more efficient equipment. That's what we did last summer at Indian Woods. We put in a smart chiller, which is very high efficiency. It's oilless, and it should pay for itself in 3 years. And then we'll just continue to save on down the road from that.
We're at Indian Woods,
Right.
and one of the things that I thought was really interesting that you talked about was the idea of harvesting daylight.
Right. We're actually standing in one of the corridors, one of the main corridors here, and this is a good example for harvesting, what they call harvesting daylight, which really is the term just to say the sun is providing us illumination, so we really don't need the artificial lights, as long as we have the proper light levels for a hallway in a schoolroom.
And lights are measured by, is it foot candles? Is that
Foot
what they call
candles is one way, and in the lumens is another term that's used. And so we have Jim here with his light meter, and we can actually look at the amount of light that's here in the hallway.
So likely we could shut off these artificial lights, save energy, and still have more than ample light for the corridor for kids to safely move about.
Yeah.
Another target area, old energy leaking windows.
These are single pane curtain walls, so there's no insulation for this hallway or the one we were just in. This is an opportunity to do an energy improvement by reducing the amount of glass in some instances, or at least putting insulated glass units in the framing. And look at the difference between this grid kind of configuration and the insulated glass. You'll see this has an airspace, and feel the difference.
It's warm.
It's
versus
warmer, isn't it?
Mhm.
So my job is to do the energy audit that will compare the costs of those and what our anticipated energy savings would be.
As you're thinking about the things that you want to put into your energy audit, what are some of the things that likely would go into that?
Well, it would be an assessment of the size of the building and start to rank the buildings, which I've done. So we have this top 20 list of the ones that we are going to really focus on. And then we also have the ones that are fairly energy efficient now, and we're going to try and learn from those buildings and apply those principles and those kind of things to the ones that need help.
How does working in a school setting with children, young people, as well as adults, how does that change the dynamic?
I just know that in terms of using the energy of the kids for ideas and wanting to implement changes and things like that, it's good. And then I think even the PTAs and the parents and all of that working together with the school district and the overarching policy from the board, we have really a lot of potential.
Thanks to Bruce, Jim, and Steve for taking time to show us the work they're doing to help the district not only save energy, but also money. That's all the time we have for this episode of Spotlight on Shawnee Mission. Join us again as we continue to feature the programs and people of Shawnee Mission who are helping guide students to success. Thank you for watching.